Good morning. Today is July 5th, 2022. I'm Andre Taylor, the oral historian at the College of William and Mary. And your name is, sir?
My name is Devin Evans.
Okay. And you are in what branch of the military?
The United States Navy.
Okay. And so let's start off. Let's go backwards and work our way forwards with this one. Talk about where you're from.
Okay. Well, originally I was born in Brooklyn, New York. Moved down to Augusta, Georgia when I was about 2 years old. So that's pretty much the place that I call home. So I definitely grew up in the South, and it's been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. Went to Evans High School, which is in the Columbia County portion of Augusta, Georgia. For those that are familiar, may know there's a Richmond County, Columbia County. And other than that, I basically, before I joined the United States Navy, I was there my whole life. Really didn't travel much or live anywhere else. So Georgia's pretty much all I knew before the Navy came.
Now, growing up in Georgia, what was your family dynamic like? How many siblings?
So growing up in Georgia, I actually had a pretty large family, with cousins and everything like that. So I have two sisters, one older, one younger. I'm the middle child, and that's on my mom's side. So I grew up with them. Now, I do have siblings on my father's side, but unfortunately, the dynamic between that is not as good as I would like it to be. But for the ones that I do know, I have an older sister and a younger sister.
Now, coming out of high school, what year did you graduate high school?
I graduated in 2005.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And from high school, were you thinking college? Were you thinking military? What were your thoughts coming out of high school?
Coming out of high school, my thoughts were actually a mixed bag, to be completely honest. College was definitely on the table. Military, it was there, but it was something that was so far down the line that I could barely see it or even think about it. So it was more so college or, just get a factory job, which a lot of people in Augusta normally did. And I decided to go to college instead. And with me going to college, I just kind of went full charge. Didn't even really know what I wanted to do. I just know I wanted to be in college and try to earn a degree or a higher level of education somehow.
And what school did you go to?
I actually ended up attending Georgia Southern University.
Okay. Now, you graduated from Georgia Southern?
I did not. So going back to, really not knowing what I wanted to do in college, I got down there. Of course, it was a culture shock. Like I said, I never really had been out of Augusta, Georgia, primarily my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
So once I got down there, it was on my own, per se, just to see all the different cultures and people. School kind of became an afterthought after that. So focusing on the degree was not my main priority at the time. So unfortunately, I did not end up graduating from Georgia Southern University.
And what were you studying there?
I was general studies.
Okay.
Like I said, I was just going to say, hey, I'm in college. It was more of the excitement of doing something that my siblings had not accomplished, nor did my mother accomplish. So just having that feeling of being in college was good enough for me at the time. But when things settle and it's time to get down to it, that's not enough. So,
now you say culture shock. That could mean a lot of things. So what exactly were the culture shocks that you saw at Georgia Southern?
So Georgia Southern, being down in Statesboro, Georgia, not so much different from Augusta, Georgia, but just the dynamics of the different groups. It seemed in a sense that things were slightly still segregated in a sense. You would definitely have the African-American kids hanging together or the Indian kids hanging together, Latinos hanging together, and then, of course, the white kids hanging together. And then, in a very small mix of things, it was, a few of the groups would mix and mingle. But for me, that was kind of, that was a huge culture shock for the fact of everybody mixing and mingling and actually getting together. Or getting along, shall I say, that was definitely a culture shock. That was something that I really wasn't used to. Where I was from, like every now and then the two groups would mix and mingle, mainly African Americans and white kids. But for more parts than none, it was always an unfortunate event that happened. Some racial slurs or something like that would happen, especially in my school. I do remember one time in high school, we had an incident where there was this thing going around and they called it nigger ball, where white kids would actually take a tennis ball, go around hitting black kids with it. So that's, pretty much the dynamic of where I came from. So when I went to college and I saw that, people were actually getting along and it's fine and it's okay and, helping each other study and do things like that, that was the major culture shock for me.
All right, so that was 2005. You went and got there in 2005. When did you leave there?
It was 2007. So the summer of 2007 is when I left. So I basically did 2 years down there. Ended up getting a few credits, but of course, not enough to, make a mainstay. Mm-hmm.
So where did you eventually finish up your undergrad degree?
So through trial and error, and many, many years later, I actually finished my degree at Post University, and that's a college based out of Connecticut. And the military actually allowed me to do that. Finally having my head on straight, and a exact goal in mind of what I wanted to do with my life at that point and where I could see myself in the future, that actually fueled me to go ahead and attack and obtain my undergrad degree from Post University.
So let's talk about that. So you said the military aided in that. So when did you go into the Navy and why did you go into the Navy?
So my Navy journey began in 2017. My reasons for going was that at that point, I felt like I needed a serious change in my life. Just to double back on, I had never really traveled outside of Georgia like that. Georgia was pretty much all I knew between Statesboro, Savannah, Augusta, and Atlanta. That was pretty much it. That was my world, and then as we all know, the world is very vast and there's a lot of things to be seen. So for me at my age at that time to just think of Georgia as this is it, this is where I'm going to be for the rest of my life, I had to get out of that. I had to make a serious change. So that was one of the main reasons why I joined the military. Another reason was to further my education. Student loans was something not necessarily talked about in my family as far as debt is concerned. But as I got older and did my own research, I had to come to realize like debt is not something that I want to hold me down for the rest of my life. And then the third thing, and which I probably feel is the most important, is that I wanted a better future for myself and my son at the time. So those were pretty much the three things that fueled me to join the Navy, especially at such a later age in my life.
The 10-year gap, 2007 to 2017, where were you? What kind of jobs were you working, and what was life like for you?
So many things. I can honestly say that I feel like I know how to do a little bit of everything because in that time frame, I held so many jobs, sometimes 3 jobs at a time, just to kind of maintain life. It wasn't bad because things can always be worse. I always looked at it like somebody is definitely in a worse position than I am right now. But at the time, it's kind of like, Lord, why me? So things were tough, definitely, especially at that time. It was just me and my son, and then of course his mother. So we're trying to co-parent, and we're young co-parents trying to make it work. Sometimes that doesn't go as planned, or it's not something that one will look at and say, hey, this is an easy thing to do. So life was difficult, more so because it was not only myself I had to worry about now. I also have a child that I have to take care of too. So just battling between different jobs, trying to make ends meet, making sure rent is paid on time because I was living by myself for a very, very, very long time. So life was very demanding at that time.
Now, the Navy over the Air Force, Marines, Army, Coast Guard,
right?
Space Force, did it exist at the time?
It did not.
Okay.
That is something that is that's definitely new. The Space Force, it makes me smile every time I even say it right now. No, it didn't exist at the time. But to your question though, I did try the Air Force first. And based off of past transgressions that I had within that time frame, they would not accept me. I did try the Army as well. I almost made it through, but there were certain things that came down the pipeline that actually just barred me from joining the Army. And this was early on. Like I tried to join the military as soon as my son was born, and was unable to do so because of things that happened in my life previously, certain decisions and things of that nature. So now at this point, I kind of gave up, went back on that working track, this job, picking up a job here, doing a job there. Come maybe when I turned 28, I said, hey, let's try it again. So I tried again, went through the same branches and everything like that, still got told no. I happened to meet this young man at the Navy recruiting station. And I told him straight off, like, hey, this is what I had going on in my previous life. This is something that has happened and has, banned me, or I don't want to say banned, but has pretty much thrown up roadblocks for me from joining the military. And he just looked at me, he looked at my paperwork, and he said, oh, this is no problem. It's just going to take some paperwork for us to sign, maybe jump through some hoops. But if you're willing to do it, let's do it. And then that's what started my journey in the Navy. They were the only ones that accepted me. And honestly, I can say I am happy that it happened that way.
So what year? That was 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what month that was?
So that was in May of 2017.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you go, when did you ship out to boot camp, and was it in Great Lakes?
It was in Great Lakes. So I shipped out to boot camp in June, the end of June. It was very quick because I said, I'll take whatever job I can take right now so I can leave right now. Because I didn't want anything coming back down the pipeline saying, oh, wait a minute. So I was just like, hey, whatever you have, I'll take it as long as I can leave soon. And, they gave me a job and I was able to leave the next month. And so I was in Great Lakes for a total of 8 weeks for boot camp. It was a great experience. It was definitely a great experience.
So what is it like for the young man in Georgia who had not left Georgia for long periods of time to find himself in Illinois? So
once again, here comes that culture shock factor once again. Traveling back in your earlier question about college, it kind of gave me the same sentiments as that. So now I'm in boot camp. I'm one of the oldest ones in my division because, when people join the military, you normally don't see older men such as myself joining for the enlisted ranks, maybe officer or something like that. So once again, it was another huge culture shock because not only am I dealing with certain people from all over the country, coupled with people from all over the world now, all different types of experiences, creeds, languages, whatever, may have you. So for that young man from Augusta, Georgia, that really never traveled outside of anywhere else, it was a huge culture shock, and it was exciting. It was mixed with a sense of nervousness, and then just knowing that my future was, about to hit the ground running. I think that gave me a stronger willingness to, do the job like I needed to do it.
So you get out 8 weeks later, and then where do you go?
So I get out 8 weeks later, and they send me to A school, which is in Pensacola, Florida. So now I'm in Pensacola, Florida. So I've traveled from Augusta, Georgia, to Great Lakes, Illinois, to Pensacola, Florida. I haven't done anything or made any travel like that my whole life, and I've done it in the span of 2.5 months. Right. So now I'm just like, I am really traveling right now, So I'm in Pensacola, never been there, never even heard of it before then. So now I'm down there. I'm just like, this is beautiful. and then, it's just sitting in on me like, I'm really doing this right now. So yeah, Pensacola, Florida, right out the Great Lakes. It was pretty good.
And so A school, for people who don't know what that is, what is A school?
So A school is basically where you go right out of boot camp to start learning about your job. Those are the basic and necessary skills that you need to just begin doing your job. Think of it as a entry-level position training, something that is necessary for you to take when you go to the fleet or when you get to your next command, so that way you can actually start performing to a certain degree.
So what was your job in the Navy?
So, funny story. So my job, actually, like I said, I just pretty much took whatever they were giving me. So they gave me what is called undesignated. So I did not have a job. Right. So I did not have a job. So I took that. So A school for me was very short. And basically what they taught me was the basic aviation maintenance, like the job itself, how to be on a flight line, how to wash aircraft, park aircraft, signals, hand signals, your basic safety to being on the flight line. Because lo and behold, I get to my first command. My job was to wash aircraft, handle aircraft, check aircraft, and things of that nature. So that was my job. I was pretty much, an aviation maintenance personnel, if you will. So.
And did you enjoy that?
There were good days and there were bad days. But at the end of the day, it was all about mindset. Where a lot of people groaned and griped, I was happy because it's like I made it. A lot of people don't know or didn't know my story at the time. It's like, I'm here. Like, I've done so many things before I got here. So this right here is, I'm fine. Like, I can live with this.
And then you had your son as well.
Mm-hmm. So, it's like I'm doing this for not only myself, but for my child. So, a lot of people have their whys. A lot of people's whys are bigger than another person's. So mine allowed me to continue doing the job, even though it was grimy, cold at times, hot at times, dirty. I was fine with it.
Were you ever assigned to a carrier?
I was. So with the squadron that I was with, that was my first command. We were actually attached to a carrier. So this is my first command. We were attached to a carrier, and we did what we like to call boat debts at times. So it's detachments where, the squadrons, which are filled with planes and their personnel, they go out on the carrier. They do exercises so that way the pilots can get qualified. So yes, I definitely spent some good time on carriers.
Which carrier were you assigned?
So I was CVN 69, which is the Eisenhower. Mm-hmm. So that was my first carrier. And it was great. It wasn't as bad as some people make it out to be. Once again, it's all about mindset. Where I was at, you do have to keep telling yourself there are other people that are living way worse lives than this right here. And you're getting paid for it. Your family is taken care of, so.
How many people to a deck? I mean, to the sleeping arrangement.
Oh, so it depends. So with my squadron, I was being that I was aviation. So as far as the male personnel, my berthing slept 70 to 80 people in it. And you have to think a berthing is very small because on a ship of 5,000 people, not many think about, okay, so you also have a mess deck. You have, places where like the engine room, offices, things of that nature that are essential for the ship. A lot of people do not think about that. So when you talk about saving space, it starts like in the berthing. That's a space saver. So you're sleeping, you're basically feel somebody breathing. If they turn to the right and you're on their right side, you feel them breathing on you. That's how close you are. So it's definitely a small space. Definitely an experience. If you haven't experienced it, it's something to experience. Yeah.
And how long were you attached to that particular unit?
So I was with that unit for 2 years, about 2.5, shall I say. So after that, I was able to actually get stationed on the Bush, CVN 77. So that's where I went after that. So I was actually on the ship, which was my home command. So that's going into the ship every single day. So at that point, I got to know the ins and outs of the ship, more so than what I knew when I was at my first command. So just learning the ship and some of the history of some of these ships and everything like that it was exciting. And once again, it's about what you make it, because there were some days harder than others, most definitely.
Now, were you ever deployed?
I was not deployed. The longest time I spent out at sea was 2 months. So I actually barely missed deployment when I left my first command. My squadron, they being attached to the Eisenhower, were about to go on deployment, and I got stationed to another ship. So haven't been out to sea more than 2 months, but at times, it kind of feel like 2 months is more than enough. I can only imagine what 6 to 8, sometimes 9, 10 months feels like on the ship. So.
And both of these carriers, they're on the Eastern Fleet, correct?
Correct.
So you were out of Norfolk the whole time?
Correct.
So again, this is the young man who had never left Georgia.
That's correct.
Who ends up in Illinois, who ends up in Florida, now finds himself in Virginia.
In Virginia, that's correct.
And then at what point do you get married?
So I ended up getting married December 2019 to my now beautiful wife, Kiana. So her father was a military vet. So she wasn't, distant or unknowing of the military life. So I will say that being a married man in the military, you definitely need a very strong spouse. You need a very strong base, because at any time you can be mobilized. You have to go somewhere for 7 to 8 months. I even know some that have had children while on deployment and were unable to go see their child being born. You get it through an email or something like that. And, after months have passed, your child is 6 months now, and this is your first time seeing them. So it definitely takes a strong village, meaning, husband, wife, and kids as well to, have a successful career in the military, most definitely.
Thus far, I've picked up on a couple of themes with you. Mm-hmm. Some days are better than others.
Yes, most definitely.
Being in the moment and just having a certain perspective, mm-hmm. and a strong base. How does all of that work into race for you in the military?
So, like I said, some days are definitely better than others. Having that strong base. Sometimes you need to go home and vent to your spouse about what's going on at work. Things that you may have witnessed at work, or things that may have happened to you that, if you bring them up, although, in the military, there are those that say that they're there to help you if something goes on like that or whatever the case may be. But at that point, it's like, how comfortable are you with speaking to someone about a situation that you may have had, and expressing yourself without thinking like, I might receive some backlash from this. Although this is supposed to be confidential, is it honestly going to stay right here between us with the person that you're confiding in at work? So you need that strong base when you go home to just de-stress yourself. Talk about your day, to someone that will have your back and truly understands, especially if they are of the same ethnic background as you, because they may be going through the same thing at work too. So you need that strong base, so that way you can recharge, go into work the next day, and do it all over again.
Have you had any instances where you felt like race played a role in the way things happened?
Unfortunately, yes. There have definitely been times where up for certain awards, if on paper, I won't even say if you say that you're the best person for this award or whatever the case may be, the paperwork definitely states that you are the best person for this award, but being that this other person who may not be of your same ethnic background has less than you as far as credentials is concerned, but they are in that good old boy club or whatever the case may be, they always get looked at first. They always get looked at first, not necessarily saying that you'll get looked over or looked past, but they'll definitely get that leg up. Although the credentials are supposed to speak for themselves. So yes, I've had an instance like that where I was up for an award.
What year was this?
This was in 2018. 2018, definitely up for an award. Hardworking. I get used to get pats on the back all the time. Great job. You this, you that, you deserve this, and everything like that. But going up against somebody that's a dirtbag, shall I say? They've been in trouble, things of that nature. I had never been in trouble. Squeaky clean record. Still haven't been in trouble to this day. But squeaky clean record. My track record is almost impeccable, honestly. But yeah, this person gets picked for the award because he's in that good old boys club. He's been bailed out of trouble by these same people time after time after time. Let's take, driving under the influence, for instance. I definitely have witnessed where someone of a white background went up for a DUI. They get in trouble, but they retain their job. They retain their position in the military. Someone of a different ethnic background, let's say Latino, African American, or whatever the case may be, same thing. They get discharged. Why is that? Same people that they have to go in front of. Why is that? So yes, unfortunately, I have witnessed some unfortunate events such as those. And once again, unfortunately, those things still go on now. And it's like it's a blind eye sometimes that gets turned towards it.
How do you maintain the mindset? I know you used that word earlier too, mindset. How do you maintain your mindset and continue to go to work every day and perform at a high level, knowing the odds are stacked against you in some cases?
Well, like my uncle used to tell me when I was younger, from the time that us as Black people come out of the womb, the odds are stacked against us from the time that you're born. So, over these 20 plus years of me living, a few hard times at that point is not going to deter me from performing at, the highest, the highest way that I can. Like, I've been going through this my whole life. So dealing with it now in the military, at times, it's not going to deter me from performing at a high capacity. It never has, and it never will. I was born strong, as a lot of us are. I was born strong, so having that mindset going in, like, it's another day. If I let it get to me, it will, and it will tear me apart. If I don't, then they're just clawing at the door. If I don't let them in, they're just clawing at the door, wasting their energy, and yet I'm still achieving and being successful. So that's my mindset when it comes to, every day at work.
So now you're not with the aviation unit. Now,
correct.
Your new job pretty much reflects the direction warfare is going, which is electronic warfare.
Yes.
So talk more about the unit you're in now.
So I've been blessed with an opportunity to become a part of the informational warfare unit, ITs, if you will. That's just one realm of it. So I've been blessed with this opportunity, been wanting it since I joined, and I finally got it. So now with the unit that I'm with, I really don't know too much about them as of now. Literally just got there. But from what I understand and from my training and everything like that, as you mentioned, we are a very important part of how war is fought today. So to be a part of that and learn the ins and outs of that, to me, it's exciting. It's exciting to finally, be on that track of IT or informational technology, and doing things that are allowing us to win battles, and for me to actually love what I do. Not to say I didn't love what I did before, but this now coincides with the way I want my life to go. So.
And you don't have to go on long deployments, possibly.
I wouldn't say that, but it could possibly happen. But luckily, I actually got shore duty this go around, so I won't be going anywhere for quite some time, unless something crazy happens, and then I'll have to go where I have to go. So, but as of right now, no, I won't be going anywhere for quite some time.
So, and now that this is 5 years into the military for you, going on 6 next May, what are some of the advantages that you've been able to take advantage of, and opportunities? I know you mentioned you were able to accomplish your undergrad degree.
Correct.
What about any other education? Have you been able to go forward more with that?
Oh, yeah. So, the help is out there. The thing is that if you don't do the research and ask the necessary questions, you'll never find it. But the help is out there. So certifications, something as simple as your Security Plus, which is definitely a building block and cornerstone for informational warfare or any technical job dealing with computers or even cloud services or whatever the case may be. That is a very important piece, is the security portion. But the Navy actually pays for those. So it's not that you have to come out of pocket or anything like that. You just put the time in to study. You ask for them to pay for it. They will gladly take care of that. Certain classes that you may want to do to get ahead. Certain schools, things of that nature, they will send you to. Now, it's not as easy as I'm making it sound. Of course, you have to jump through some hoops. You have to be a hard charger. And, you definitely have to take care of your day to day. But it is definitely possible. So
where are you at with certifications in school?
So certifications right now, the Navy is actually about to pay for my Security Plus certification.
What does that mean?
So basically what Security Plus is, like I was explaining, is basically like the building block for security. It's one of the basic certifications that you can get that will actually put you on the path towards learning more about securing a network or securing cloud services or just a hardware system itself. So that's something that I would love to get because that's actually starting me out in the certification realm. Although I have my undergrad in computer information systems, as you know, technology is a ever learning thing. It's ever evolving. You have to continuously learn if you want to stay, at the top of the pile. So they're definitely going to take care of that for me. And right now, I'm actually attending Norfolk State University for my master's degree in cybersecurity as well. So, and the Navy is paying for that. So there are so many avenues. There are so many things that the military can actually help you do. But once again, if you don't do your research and ask the necessary people or just network to find your answer, you'll just be out there floating and all of these benefits will float right past you.
So with the certifications and the schooling, is that going to further your career in the Navy and give you more clearance, or do you already have the clearance and this is just adding to that? So
I already have the clearance. With the job that I currently have now, you have to go through that necessary background check to obtain a top secret security clearance. So I have actually been blessed with that. So in part, it's going to better my career in the Navy because you earn one certification while doing your job. They're going to offer you other opportunities to further your education. I mean, because the more you're educated in a certain topic, to be a SME, shall I say, subject matter expert, they'll pay for you to continue to learn because they need people that are SMEs with this technology that they have. So you get one certification, oh, he's doing well, and he's still on top of his job. Ask him if he wants to go get this certification. We need somebody to come work this system right here. And that'll continue your, basically your job in the Navy, your career. It'll prolong it. And even if you decide to leave the military, all the things that the military pays for is very expensive in the civilian sector. It's very expensive. Corporations find it very hard to pay for a top secret security clearance because that's one of the most expensive things that a corporation will have to spend money on if it's required, So the Navy takes care of that. The certifications, 9 times out of 10, you'll have to come out of pocket if you're in the civilian sector for those certifications. A lot of self-study and things of that nature. Navy takes care of that. So at the end of the day, it will definitely, prolong your career in the Navy and then just put you, I guess, on a better step if you're looking to go into the civilian sector as well.
Your new unit, what are the demographics what's the demographics of the unit now?
So from what I've seen, it is mainly, I don't necessarily want to say split. If we were looking at it between people of color and white people, I would say it's about 70-30, with 30% being the people of color. A lot of people know and understand that when it comes to the tech world, there aren't many people of color, especially when it comes to the civilian sector. There's a lot of people of color that work in the tech world that are begging other people of color to please come join the tech world. So when you look at it, through that type of glass, it's difficult, because it's just like, why? But sometimes you have to understand that, some people will just fall under that umbrella of this is all you can do. Be fine with that, versus, extending themselves and be like, I can do tech too. I can do it just as well as anybody else.
Were these demographics different from your last command?
Oh, most definitely. So my last command, like I said, I was on a ship, and the people of color, from what I've noticed, are mostly on ships. That's where you get all your like black or other ethnic background, like chiefs, officers. I never seen so many E7s and above in one place than I have on a ship, and I've been to 2 of them. So just to see that, it's just like, why is that like that? When you go to squadrons, it's mostly white people or Caucasians, and then you do get your mix of Latinos, Mexicans, and things of that nature. But why is that? Why do I not see more African American pilots? Why do I not see more African American commanding officers? Why don't I see that? So that is definitely a question that always goes through my mind. It's like, why do I not see that? Why is it not as regular as the other? So.
What do you think has to happen to make those changes?
I feel like there has to be more people willing to step into those positions. Not saying that there's not, but I feel like there has to be more of us to lobby and cheer us on for those positions. As I stated earlier, going up for an award, I won't necessarily say I got looked over or looked past, but on paper, I was the better person for the job. How do I know that's not going on at the higher levels? If it's going on at such, not calling my level low or anything like that, but if it's going on where I was at, how do I know it's not going on up here as well? Like, how do I know that? So with that being said, I feel like there needs to be more of us in positions of power to allow it to be more of a fair vote, if you will, to allow us a chance at least. At the end of the day, we're always going to have to work harder. We're always going to have to be smarter, tougher, things of that nature, just to, meet. We're always going to have to do that. And we're going to do that. That's not a problem. But when it comes to being put in positions of power, such as what I mentioned earlier, I feel like we need more of us to lobby for each other. So
how much longer do you have in the Navy?
I feel like that's a trick question. I don't know. I did just sign on for 3 years.
3 more years.
3 more years. So which will put me at roughly about 9 years. I kind of want to see where it goes with this new position that I have. What all I can get out of it and what I can provide as far as my services and things of that nature. So we'll see. Like I said, the 3 years, it goes by fast. The 5 years have gone by extremely fast, and I've been all over, so it's amazing. So these next 3 years, I'm definitely excited to see where it takes me and what happens and the people that I meet and are able to connect with and hopefully help up. I've told my story to a lot of people that look like me, younger than me, and, just to inspire them to go to school. Use those education benefits and things of that nature. It's a beautiful thing. So, along these 3 years, hopefully I'm able to inspire more. And who knows, that might, light a flame up under me to do another 3 and then another 3 and then retire soon. But that's left to be said.
So it's safe to say that the Brooklyn-born, Georgia-raised boy has set sail wherever life is going to take him.
That's correct. That's a perfect way to put it. That is a perfect way to put it. Yes.
Well, sir, thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. And we appreciate this interview.
Thank you.